Hey, what's good guys? Robocop Phoenix here. So there's a lot of misinformation and misconceptions when it comes to backwards compatibility, especially for the PS5. And I'm about to explain it in a way that is as easy to understand as possible. I put in a lot of work to put this video together, so you may want to watch until the end to fully understand how backwards compatibility actually works. I've been wanting to make this video for quite a while now because it's kind of annoying how so many people are misinformed about this topic. So will the PS5 be backwards compatible? Yes and no, but mainly yes. As it stands, the PS5 is confirmed to be backwards compatible with around 100 AAA PS4 games and about 4,000 other PS4 games that are still undergoing testing at the time of making this video. But what about PS1, PS2 and PS3? Will the PS5 only rely on PlayStation Now service? Well, it's really not that simple. There is two major ways as to how backwards compatibility actually works. One, emulation, and two, system on a chip, or SoC for short. In a nutshell, emulation simply means the process of mimicking another computer system or software so as to run that computer system or software on a different computer. What you're doing is you're basically tricking your current system into believing it's a different system. As a perfect example, every PS3 console is designed to emulate original PlayStation games. Now, when I say original PlayStation games, I am talking about PS1 games. So in this case, your PS3 is pretending to be a PlayStation 1. It's basically like having a PS1 inside of a PS3. So when you play your PS1 games on a PS3, the games are thinking they're being played on a PS1, when in reality it's the PS3 they're being run on. System on a chip, or SoC on the other hand, is actual hardware inside of a console, and the PS3 is the perfect example because it actually has SoC inside it in order to play PlayStation 2 games. So in this case, it's like saying that a PS3 is actually a 3-in-1 console. Now, this was mainly on the early models of the PS3 and it ensured PS2 games run smoothly because of a combination of both emulation and SoC. The SoC was later removed in the later versions of the PS3, and this meant the PS3 would rely entirely on emulation software. So because SoC was removed from the later PS3 models, which meant the removal of PS2 disk support, Sony had to counter this somehow, and so they introduced the ability to download PS2 classics on the store. Only a select number of games were available though, because at this point the PS3 only relied on legacy emulation software. You see, emulation is expensive, and this is actually one of the reasons why the PS3 was quite expensive at launch. Implementing SoC in a console is very expensive. In as much as it ensures smooth emulation, it is still quite expensive, which is why Sony had to start getting rid of it in the later PS3 models, because the cost of manufacturing was just way too high. So emulation on its own without SoC is quite difficult to achieve, and it takes a long time to perfect, making 100% compatibility very, very difficult to achieve. So what about Xbox? If all of this is so difficult and expensive for Sony to pull off, then how is Microsoft seamlessly achieving this? Well, first off, Series X will be backwards compatible with majority of Xbox One games, mainly because both the Xbox Series X and the Xbox One are running on x86 based architecture. So even if the Series X is an absolute beast, it still maintains the x86 architecture that the Xbox One is also running. And because of this, we know that the Xbox One offers backwards compatibility for both Xbox 360 and the original Xbox. But it's not all roses because, like I said before, backwards compatibility via emulation is difficult to accomplish, which is why the Xbox One only supports around 500 Xbox 360 games and only about 30 to 40 original Xbox games. So because all these games are supported on Xbox One, they are automatically brought forward and supported on Series X thanks to similar architecture. But it is not that easy because a lot of these games would have to go through testing and licensing, and this could take a very long time to approve. Alright, so let's get back to the PS5. The PS5, like the PS4, is also x86 architecture and compatible with PS4 games, like I had explained in the beginning of this video, but the way that the PS5 handles backwards compatibility is very different from the way that Xbox Series X handles it. Like I've been explaining this whole time, for the PS5 to actually run any game past PS4, it would mean it needs to emulate the PS3 and incorporate system on a chip, which is something I just don't see Sony doing because it would drive up the PS5 cost exponentially. You see, the PS3 runs on an asymmetrical multi-threaded architecture, and this is not easy to emulate, but there is word of a virtual computer that will handle all of this. The patent you're looking at on your screen right now suggests that Sony can use a virtual machine to emulate these consoles through the cloud. Specifically, it talks about how a large number of game titles across PS1, PS2, PS3, and various generations of game consoles can be stored and used via the cloud gaming library. Now, it goes on to say that these games can be run on a virtual machine that mimics the operating system associated with each game console. As this is only just a patent, it's nowhere near official or confirmed. However, emulators have been popular for decades and they've allowed users to create virtual machines resembling nearly every console. It's not far-fetched to imagine that Sony could pull this off, but try not to get too excited. So, because the PlayStation Now service is a game streaming only service, it's safe to assume that when it comes to PS1, PS2, and PS3, we may have to rely on PlayStation Now. Alright, I hope I've shed some light on how backwards compatibility actually works. If you have any questions about this, then please be sure to drop me a comment below, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to support the channel by subscribing. I really put in a lot of work to put this video together, and you subscribing would really be appreciated. I upload new videos almost every day, and thanks for taking the time, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.